Okay, so yun nga, part 1 of the tax remedies, and now we'll proceed with our discussion. Sana ba tayong okay, with different kinds of assessment by the BIR with authority, you have DEDJ, you have deficiency, erroneous, so, sige, lagyan na lang natin ng mga note ng konti. Bakit yung nawawala? Ayan. So, you have here the deficiency, assessment, erroneous, disputed, and jeopardy. Now, we are in, as they accumulate evidence, no? They use best evidence obtainable. The CAR may make or amend the return from his own knowledge and from such information as he can obtain through testimony or otherwise, which will be prima facie correct and sufficient for all legal purposes. So, what does it include? Of course, we have the corporate and accounting records of the taxpayer who is the subject of the assessment process. So, that's normal. Meron tayong kinikip na mga records, and it depends also in the number of years the company retained its copies. Letter B, accounting records of other taxpayers engaged in the same line of business, including their gross profit and net profit sales. Para saan ba to, guys? Para, yung nagbe-benchmark. Okay, nagbe-benchmark lang sila. If you are in the same kind of business, bakit sila ganito yung profit nila? Bakit sila konti lang? Okay, so tinitingnan din nila, same kayo ng nature, ano nangyari? Okay? Next, data, record, paper, document, or any evidence gathered by internal revenue officers from other taxpayers who had personal transaction or from whom the subject taxpayer received any income. So let's say, for example, verify nila from your customer if tama ba yung record ng corporation, hindi ba yun different from what has been declared by your customer, or it could also be like yung supplier mo, magkano yung binayad mo sa kanila, baka iba yung nireflect mo sa record mo. Okay? So, they would also look into the records of other taxpayers. Okay, other taxpayers. Diba? Next, record, data, documented information secured from government offices or agencies. Oo nga naman. Every year we submit, if you're a corporation, you submit to the Securities and Exchange Commission. Working with a bank or dealing with a bank, you have the Central Bank of the Philippines or Bangko Sentral, Bureau of Customs. If you're into importation, Tariff and Customs Commission. So, this would be the different agencies of which they could request information. So, diba, mag-send sila ng letter, ganito, ganyan, si taxpayer taxpayer A is subject for an assessment. So, we would like to request your assistance, diba, mag-request ng mga documents, ganon. Now, tanong, how long are we going to worry about the BIR tax audit or assessment? So, meron tayong tinatawag na prescriptive period for assessment. General rule, the right to assess must be done within 3 years from the date thereof. So, 1, from the actual filing of the return, or number 2, from the last date prescribed by law for the filing of such return, whichever is later. Highlight ko yung word na whichever is later, no? So, of course, just like you as a student, we also need to look into the details. I mean, the reason why. O, diba? Mabuti naman at meron tayong nakuha na rationale dito. Why whichever is later? Of course, this is to benefit the government, so they have more time to make the assessment on the taxpayer. This is from the Book of English, guys, 2015. Credits to him, diba? So the rationale for prescriptive period or statute of limitations for assessment is for the benefit of both government and taxpayers. The government is benefited because the officers would be obliged to act properly and promptly in making assessments. Oo nga naman, diba? Within 3 years, dapat gawin nila yon. Pero meron nga exception to the rule. Letter B, the taxpayers are benefited because after the lapse of the period of prescription, they would have a feeling of security against unscrupulous tax agents who will take advantage of every opportunity to molest law-abiding citizen. Oo nga naman, 'di ba? Kasi how long are they gonna be retaining their records, no? For as long as they did not commit any fraudulent act, 'di ba? So wala silang kinakailang i-worry for that. So letter C, without such legal defense, the taxpayers would furthermore be under obligation to always keep their books, to keep them open for inspection, subject to harassment by unscrupulous tax agents. Thus, for the purpose of safeguarding taxpayers from any unreasonable examination, investigation, or assessment, our tax laws provide a statute of limitations in the collection of taxes as well as their assessments. So, if you want to do like due diligence every year, kung marami kayong staff, guys, you could compile all the returns you submitted kasi some of us are into EFPS naman, lahat na online. What if mag-crash ganito, ganyan, di ba? So, it would be better to retain hard copy of it. Next, yun, mga exception to the rule, di ba, sa prescriptive period for assessment. So, exception to the rule of 3 years, guys, exception, if, for example, you have false or fraudulent return with intent to evade, o, di ba? With intent to evade taxes. So, anong ganap if there is an intent to evade taxes? Does it follow the 3-year rule? Hindi. Within 10 years from the date of discovery, guys. Okay? I-highlight lang natin ang word na discovery. Okay. Ay, sorry. No? Pula-tapod kayo siya. So, highlight natin siya like this, like that. For, yan. Okay. Ito na lang pala. This one, font color, let's change this one to red para remember natin na from the date of discovery, failure to file any return at all within 10 years, same pa rin sila, within 10 years from discovery, ito pala dapat. Within 10 years from the date of discovery, okay, from, oops, my baby, charot. Within 10 years from discovery of omission to file a return. And the third one is a waiver of statute of limitations, which is in writing, which must be before the expiration of the period or assessment of taxes. So, for the period agreed upon, so meron tayong tinatawag na waiver of statute of limitations. So, and the period agreed upon may be extended by subsequent written agreements made before the period previously agreed upon. Okay. So, what are the examples yung sa 10-year? When do we reckon the 10-year period? So, let us have here an example. Okay. So, a false return, assuming there is a false return, the reckoning of the 10-year prescriptive period. Okay, let's write here. Let's say, for example, on April 15, 1990, somebody filed, taxpayer A filed return, no? And the falsity, so the date of discovery was on March 8, 1991. 1991. So date of discovery. Discovery. Now, the assessment of the, di ba ito, this one, the 1990, this is for the 1989 na return. Diba? Kasi nga, yeah. Oo. Kasi yun yung deadline. Diba? April 15. So, 1989 na return. The assessment for the 1989 was issued. So, when was this deficiency income tax issued? Last January 9, 1995, the assessment of the deficiency income tax was issued. Okay, was issued. Now, question, is the assessment made well within the 10-year prescriptive period? So, according to the Supreme Court, in CIR versus Estate of Benigno P. Toda, GR number 147188, September 14, 2004, the assessment was made well within the 10-year prescriptive period reckoned from March 8, 1991, which is the date of discovery. Okay? Okay, let's continue. Okay, pero parang ang easy lang naman din yun, di ba? Because 1991 plus 10 years. O, di ba? Pasok ba din si 1995? So, ayan. So, now let's move on. Actually, yun nga, that is the introductory part of tax remedies. Diba? Tax remedies. Now, let's proceed with tax remedies under the National Internal Revenue Code. Okay. Nandito siya, guys. If you notice, actually, these were my notes long time ago in Bethlehem pa. So, here, we proceed with the assessment of the internal revenue taxes. The assessment process, tingnan nga natin kung nakikita niyo ba itong screen. Okay, nakikita niyo ba yung screen na, okay, mali, ayun. Assessment of internal revenue taxes. The assessment process starts with the self-assessment by the taxpayer of his tax liability. Diba? We compute our taxes because in the first place, we know sino yung binayaran natin, magkano yung binayaran natin, what particular tax period tayo nagbayad. The filing to the tax return and the payment of the entire tax due shown in his return in accordance with the methods and within the dates prescribed in the law and regulations. Take note, the payment deadline is already fixed. Okay? Walang masasabi na, uy, my God, magbabayad pala ako ng tax. Walang ganun, guys. Meron talagang mga period. Okay? So, upon the discovery of the BIR that the self-assessment was either deficient or when no return was made by the taxpayer, the BIR issues a deficiency assessment. Now, eto, okay, meron tayong ganito, guys. Diba? So, this is like the stages, different stages of assessment process. So we have here the filing of tax return, the payment of tax, and then next, selection of tax return for audit and issuance of audit audit notice. Nawala ako konti, no? So next is the investigation, the conduct of examination and informal conference, the issuance of PAN, and then finally the issuance of PAN or FDDA. So iisa-isahin natin yan, guys. Diba? Are you excited? Alam niyo, after I recorded the second video, guys, parang wala na, drain talaga yung energy ko sa kakachika, no? Kaya, yeah, please bear with me. So now we proceed with the letter of authority and tax audit. Ano ba tong letter of authority, guys? If you're not familiar with it, na hindi pa na-audit yung company nyo, guys, actually, this is like document. Document lang talaga siya. It is an official document that authorizes a revenue officer to examine and scrutinize taxpayers' books of accounts and other records, accounting records in order to determine the taxpayer's correct internal revenue tax liabilities. Wala siya one day in the office, may pumuntang BIR, may daladalang letter of authority from the duly authorized representative of the commissioner na, hey, Mr. Taxpayer, nandito kami para i-audit yung records niyo for tax purposes. So there must be a grant of authority before any revenue officer can conduct an examination or assessment, and the revenue officer must not go beyond authority, okay? Otherwise, the assessment or examination is a nullity. Oo nga naman. So, they need to be polite, courteous, papunta doon, at hello, pwede po ba namin i-check yung mga records nyo? Ito po yung authorization. Diba? So, yan po yung first step ng process of tax assessment. So that we will still have to continue, no? Ika-cut natin siya ng 15 minutes each. Kasi 15 minutes lang din yung free, pa, diba? Laban para sa bayan.